In the second part of our series, Ghana Schools of Shame, Kpandai reports that 7,000 students in the Kpandai district of the Northern Region do not have furniture. A lot of these children write while squatting, kneeling, or lying on their bellies. The children want the government to give them school furniture so they may learn comfortably and with dignity. Well, very sad pictorial evidence there. Let me share with you some figures from the northeast part of the country so you can relate to how dire the situation is really. Now, we titled this the Ghana Schools of Shame, Northeast region. What do we know so far? Now, let's look at schools in the Northeast region and what they do. Total number of basic schools in that region is 505. Out of this number, the number of schools that are deprived are 350, representing 69.3% of the total number of schools in that region. Now, out of the 505 schools, we have 75 of them that are schools under trees, representing 14.9% of the total figure. So that's how the whole thing is in terms of schools in the Northeast region and how dilapidated some of them are. In terms of furniture deficit, we have 34,290 children in Northeast region who do not have furniture to sit on in their classrooms. 34,290 children do not have furniture, so they either sit on the floor or lie on the bare floor to study. Now, today the world celebrates the International Day of Education under the theme to invest in people, prioritize education. I'll be joined shortly by Dr. Kpandai, who is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFES. But first, his institution has released a statement. Let me share with you an extract of that with you. The statement says, the Institute of Education Studies joins the global community to celebrate the International Day of Education. IFES believes that education is the guaranteed means to bridge the gap of inequality in any society, support the marginalized, and lift people from poverty. It is therefore more appropriate, the theme for today, which seeks to encourage the prioritization of investment in education. It continues to say that as we are celebrating the International Day of Education, they think that investing in people and prioritizing education should be a clarion call to targeted financing and efficient utilization of scarce resources in the education sector. It is expected that investment in education, both at the private and public levels, would yield the needed returns and benefit. Hence, IFEST will want to encourage the relevant authorities to continuously assess the impact of these investments on the various levels of development in this country. We are simply saying, quote, let the investment in people and the prioritization of education count in all aspects of our lives as a society, end of quote. So we can now speak to Dr. Kpandai. Doc, grateful that you could join us, here on the news. We just played a feature from Kpandai that highlights education infrastructure challenges. 7,000 students in the Kpandai district of the Northern Region do not have furniture as we speak. How will we bridge the gap of inequality when students don't even have desks and chairs?
Good morning and to your viewers. Thank you for the opportunity, and we would want to wish the global community and the entire country happy International Education Day. Yes, investing in people, prioritize education. That is exactly what we have to do, especially in a situation whereby we see that resources are scarce, and the little that we have, it seems that as a country, we are pushing it in directions that are not yielding the needed returns. And it is interesting how we are linking this with your story about Kpandai,
yeah.
the situation in the northern region, our BC schools. You see, these statistics that you put out, that shows that almost 60-something% of the schools are deprived. That is 350 of the 505 schools are deprived. are statistics that are available to the officials. And that is why sometimes when we talk about we don't have a plan, people do not seem to appreciate it. These are statistics that are available to the authorities. In fact, when we did the National Education Week in 2020, the regional directors of education provided this information at the forum. In fact, recently they did the same thing. So every year, regional directors of education provide this information to relevant authorities, the ministry, Ghana Education Service, and stakeholders. And we know that this is the challenge in this region. So tying in with the theme for the International Education Day simply means that we need to invest or prioritize education, but investment does not mean just putting money out there for the sake of putting them out there. If you look at a statement or a report that was released recently in this January by UNESCO, or I think UNICEF, it states that we are spending 3 times the amounts that we are spending on the rich, let's say the rich family as compared to the poor family. So we are spending 12% on poor households in Ghana in terms of education, and we are spending 3 times 12%, which is 36% on rich households, 20% of rich households in Ghana. What this tells us is that we have people who are deprived. We have people who are suffering, who do not have the relevant educational resources. Yet when it comes to investing in education, we push the money from wherever it is to those who still have got something and they have the ability to finance the education. And that is not the essence of education. So when we say prioritize education, that is not what we are doing as a country. In this country, we are pushing monies that belongs or that is supposed to help bridge the gap to rather widen the gap of inequality. And that is why schools in some of the regions and in urban areas would have the requisite teachers, would have the needed infrastructure, would have the needed desks, textbooks, and other things. Whereas schools in the rural settings, those schools that need our attention continue to suffer and continue to lack these things.
So in effect, we are not applying our resources or we are not prioritizing how to apply our scarce resources, right?
Exactly. We are just pushing money where it's not giving us the needed returns. We are just pushing money where it's not giving us the needed public benefit, the needed private benefit. We are not doing that. We are just pushing money to places where we will not get the needed impact. We need to redirect our investment to places where we will have the needed impact. And those places are examples like the Kpandai area that you are talking about, and other deprived districts within the country who need just certain basic amenities like a classroom block, like tables, like desks, like one teacher. Those investments would change the dynamics of the lives of the people in those schools, and it will change the dynamics of the society that the school is supposed to be situated. And that is what we mean by prioritizing education and investing in people.
Well, this has been the case for some time. It hasn't changed. What must happen before, we have a change in how things are done in the education sector? For example, applying our resources at where we need to apply them.
In the first place, we need to look at how we allocate the small scarce resource that we have across the length and breadth of the country in terms of educational resource distribution. We need to look at how we do that kind of allocation. For me, I think that the regional education directors are in a better position to continuously give the true picture of how the state of education in their region is. Now, when they do that, I'm thinking that those in authority, the ministry, Ghana Education Service, should devise a plan that would help them allocate resources to these districts or these regions that need these things more than regions that are technically not deprived. That is what we need to do. if we do not have that kind of distribution, not equal distribution, that kind of equity style of distribution, where those who do not have will have more and those who have will have less, we will continue to have these challenges. We also have to now tie in some kind of performance agreement with our directors of education, both at the district level, at the regional level, and even ministers of education, and then the Director General of Ghana Education Service. We need to tie some kind of performance reports to that level. That when you came, this was the state of infrastructure in this particular region. This was the number of schools that were classified as deprived. This was the number of schools that didn't have this kind of resources. What have you been able to do for the past 4 years? If we start questioning people, if we start putting authorities on their toes, pushing some of these things to their desks and asking them to show their scorecard in terms of how they have been able to transform education from what it used to be when they took office and how it is now, I think people will now start re-strategizing and develop ways and means to ensure that the schools that are continuously being deprived of basic quality variables of education do not continue to be in that state. It breaks my heart to see kids lie on the floor, sit on the floor, and do some of these things. Whereas when you come to some of the schools in other regions, there are a lot of desks. Some of the desks are even not occupied by students. It means that we are not reallocating our resources well, and we need to do that kind of redistribution.
I'm grateful to you, Doc. Dr. Peter Ante is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST.